Welcome to the Pre-Transplant podcast, a podcast that brings personal stories from transplant survivors, their families, friends, and loved ones. This is where you will hear challenges and triumphs of everyone involved in this journey. Our guests will offer wisdom, advice, and inspiration on everything you want to know about transplant. My name is Jenny McFarland. I am a transplant survivor, and this is a podcast I wish I had before and immediately following my transplant. Thank you for listening. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. This is Jenny McFarland, your host, and I am so excited to share this episode with you guys. This is part 2 of Tales from the Transplant Games, and this episode is just as amazing as the last episode, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. But first, I just want to mention about the Pre-Transplant Foundation. We do so many different things that help the transplant community, and we are still new and we're still growing, and so all of our programs aren't up and running yet, but we're working hard to get them up and running. So if you would like to learn more about the foundation and more about how we help people, and if you want to sign up to be a buddy to somebody who's going through what you went through, log onto the website, sign up, and we'll get you matched up. It's a great program, and I just hope that we can get more and more people to sign up. And if you like what we do and you want to help us grow and help us help more people in the transplant community, then log on to the foundation and find out different ways that you can help. Okay, so I want to get on with this episode because I'm so excited. I put some music in the background like I did last time just because I think it made it sound nicer and it helped drown out the background noise. I do want to apologize to some people. There were some people who came and did an interview with me, and unfortunately I couldn't use that audio because it was just too distorted. I think maybe because I was holding the microphone and maybe the cord was loose or something. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but there were several interviews that I couldn't put in this episode. And if you are one of the people who didn't make it onto this episode and you came by and took the time out to record something, I sincerely apologize to you. If you want to log onto the podcast website, which is www.pretopostTX.com, you can go to the contact page and shoot me an email, and we can schedule you to be on the podcast because your story was amazing. And actually that goes to everybody who was at the games, who's been on here. If you want to be on the podcast and share your entire story, I would love to have you on because every single person that I talk to at the games is podcast worthy, if that makes sense. So reach out to me and let's get you on the show. One last thing, I saved a few of the stories like we had on the last episode to put in here to this episode, just to kind of break up the interview process a little bit, because I pretty much asked the same question to every single person, and I tried to take those questions out with me talking just because they're so repetitive and it just didn't sound right. So I apologize to all of you for my repetitive questions, but luckily every answer is different, so you're going to get something different out of every person that I talk to. And there's even a section where my husband took over the interviews, so you'll hear that. And I mean, that's a bonus. Okay, so let's not wait any longer because I'm so excited to get to this episode. It's a great episode, and I know you guys are going to love it as much as you loved the last one. So, without further ado, here we go. Okay, what's your name?
Emmanuel Lewis.
And where are you from?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And what is your relation to organ donation?
I am a transplant recipient.
Okay, what'd you have transplanted?
I have a kidney transplant, and it's my second.
Second kidney transplant. That's awesome. So what are you doing here at the Transplant Games?
I am here celebrating all transplantation because I think this is great for us to show up here and show love to our donors, donor families, and to celebrate a second chance at life.
Very cool. So if you had any advice for somebody pre-transplant, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to be patient, make sure you take all your medications, listen to the doctor, stay close to the diet, and when you get your transplantation, it'll be great.
Very cool. Is there anything else you want to say to all of our listeners?
I want to tell everyone really who hadn't got their transplant yet to keep the faith. I know it's a hard process. The waiting period is really hard for a lot of people, but your day and your time will come. And I'd like to encourage everybody else to please make sure you are an organ donor.
What's your name?
Greg.
Hi, Greg. Welcome to the podcast. What is your relation to organ donation?
I am a kidney donor.
Oh, okay. So did you donate to somebody you know or a stranger?
I did. I donated to my wife.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so what are you doing here at the Games?
Well, we're just very interested in what's going on in the transplant world. And, the transplant was just March 1st of this year. So we're wanting to understand better what the community is about, what we can do to educate people and, hopefully inspire other living donors and just, offer the support that we can.
That's amazing. Awesome. And where are you from?
Riverside, California.
Oh, okay. You're kind of local. So, yeah. And do you have any advice for somebody who is thinking about donating their any liver, kidney, any organ?
I do. I would suggest and encourage people to talk to medical professionals about the donation process, get the real information from the real sources. I think that would help clarify a lot of questions for people and probably lead to more living donors volunteering to do that incredibly important thing.
Very cool. Well, thank you for being on the podcast. All right. Okay, welcome to the podcast. What's your name?
Valerie James.
And where are you from?
San Diego.
Oh, you're local. Very good, very good. So what is your relation to organ donation or transplant?
My son Xavier received a kidney transplant when he was 3 years old, and he's currently 18 years old.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a long time. Very good. Okay, so what are you doing here at the Transplant Games?
So we're here at the Games because we find that the Games is a place that we can donate. We can honor his donor, kid, Sam McCrow, and the first time we came to the Games, he was 10 years old, and it was amazing because he saw kids that were just like him going through the same thing that he was going through. So I feel like this is our family. We're here. We can talk about, we've gone through the same things, and it's a place where we can honor our second chance at life.
Yes, it is a great networking place. Like, you get to meet so many people. It's amazing. Okay, so what piece of advice would you give to somebody who is getting ready to go through a transplant, or even like a donor, or not a donor mom, a mother, like a caregiver, to somebody who's getting ready to go through that process?
So for me, when Xavier was waiting for his kidney, we never treated him like he was sick. We made sure he never felt like, oh, you're sick, you're doing this or that. We always allowed him to do what he wanted to do, and just make sure you have a strong network of people that you could lean on. And we had family, friends, our support group at the hospital. So it's good to have a good support group, a good foundation, people that you could go to and talk to and lean on, ask questions, to have that network you can go to and lean on. I think that's the biggest thing, is to have a good support system, and just know that it takes a little bit of, sometimes it may not happen today or the next day, but just keep in mind that when it's the right time, it's going to be your time to get that life-changing transplant.
Absolutely. Great advice. So one last thing, is there anything that you would like to say to so that my listeners can hear?
Right. So one thing I always say, I wear 2 bracelets. One is Sam, and that's my son's donor. We wear that and donate life so that I could always remember and thank Sam every day. There's a saying that to the world you are just one person, but to one person you are the world. When you become a organ or eye tissue or organ donor, you are someone's world. You give them a second chance. So it's important to sign up and let your family know if you decide you want to be an organ, eye, or tissue donor. Make sure you let your family know what your wishes are, and that's all it was.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dinora Arambola. I'm from T Nevada in Las Vegas. I'm a kidney recipient and I'm here to celebrate my second chance as usually. And this is my fourth Transplant Games, and I'm a sprinter. I do track and field, and I just was hoping I can do good this year and just go to Nevada.
All right.
Hey there. So what's your name?
Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. And what is your relation to organ donation?
I am a heart transplant recipient.
And when did you have your transplant?
June 29th, 2017.
Oh, congratulations. And where are you from?
Thank you. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay, so what do you here for the game? Why are you here at the games?
Probably a dual purpose of honoring my donor's legacy and acknowledging that every day is a gift from her that she gave to me, and also to compete.
Awesome. And what are you competing in?
Swimming, track and field, volleyball, and trivia.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. Very good. Okay, so if you had any advice that you could give to somebody who's getting ready for a heart transplant, what would that be?
It would have to be, number one, perseverance, that I know things get really tough, but you get through to the other side and you just can't believe what your life looks like. And number two, to engage in the community, because the transplant community is full of the most wonderful people.
Very good. And is there anything else that you want to say to all of our listeners out there?
I would just say, if you're not registered as an organ donor, please consider it, and just a resounding thank you to all the donors out there and the living donors and everyone who's registered. You truly do go on to give a second chance to a lot of us.
Hi, I'm Vicki, and I've had a cornea transplant. I have to say that thanks to someone's generous donation, I went from legally blind to 20/20 vision after my transplant. So it was awesome. I encourage everyone to donate. It's not any more difficult than checking the box on your driver's license. So very important to people who need corneas, organs, tissue, bones, tendons. They can do anything. It's amazing. So make a big gift of yourself when you're done.
Absolutely. And are you participating in the games? What are you participating in?
We just did ballroom dancing. We did ballroom dancing yesterday, and my husband's he's a tissue recipient. So between the two of us, we have 10 gold medals.
That's amazing. How cool.
Thank you.
How cool. What would you say to somebody? So this is my wife's first transplant games. What advice would you give to somebody here for the first time?
Go out and meet everyone and talk to everyone. Everyone's got an amazing story to tell. And it's the best thing you can do to share the gift of life. Share it with everyone here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, welcome to the podcast. What's your name?
Tyrone Cooper.
Nice to meet you, Tyrone. So tell me, where are you from?
I'm from Louisiana.
And what is your relation to organ donation?
I'm a recipient, heart recipient, 11 years.
Oh, congratulations. So what are you doing here at the games?
Participating. This year I'm doing pickleball and cornhole.
Okay, yep. I'm doing cornhole too, so we'll be there together. Yeah, no, probably not.
Yeah.
So tell me, what advice would you give to somebody who's pre-transplant that you wish you would have known before your transplant?
Well, before I didn't know really nothing. Right now it's kind of like you being an advocate for it, and you never know if someone in your family that's going to need a transplant. So we kind of push forward to keep the process going in case somebody in your family may need a kidney or heart. You never know. So that's what.
Okay, last question. Is there anything else that you want to say to the listeners out there that you want them to know about you or about anything?
Yeah. Well, giving life is sort of was an extension for me, and if it wasn't for my donor and my donor family that was pushing it really hard, I wouldn't be here. So.
Hey, hi, welcome to the podcast. What's your name?
Mirta.
And what is your relation to organ donation?
Oh, porque mi hija tiene trasplante de riñón hace 6 meses que fue trasplantada de riñón.
6 months ago that I got my kidney transplant.
Okay, and where are you from?
México.
Mexico.
If you have any advice to give to somebody going through the transplant process, what would that be?
Que tengan primeramente mucha confianza en Dios y que nunca pierdan la esperanza de que todo va a estar bien. Y que siempre la familia esté unida apoyando al que necesite el trasplante y a la familia del trasplantado.
To always have hope in God and never lose faith and hope, and all the family be connected to help you through the process.
Very good. And is there anything else that you want to say to all of my listeners?
Que nunca pierdan la esperanza.
To never lose hope.
Okay.
All right. What's your name?
Daryl Rock.
Nice to meet you. So tell me, what's your relation to organ donation?
Well, I happen to be fortunate to be a liver recipient, and I had my transplant back in '05. I was very blessed to be able to get one. I was in a coma and didn't think we were going to make it. But surprise, I'm still here 17 years later now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I love the games. The games are so important, not only to me, but also to other people for education and everything else.
Yeah, so why are you here? What are you doing at the games?
Well, I'm on Team SoCal, and unfortunately this year I had a bowel duct collapse, so I had several surgeries to recover from that, which automatically under the rules will disqualify you for the games. So you can't get a medical waiver.
Right.
So
Yeah.
this is the first one I've missed in years.
Okay, well, you'll be back going strong.
You betcha.
So let me ask you a question. What advice would you give to somebody who's getting ready to get a liver transplant that maybe you didn't know before you got yours?
Well, unfortunately, mine, I was blindsided. I went from 1 week and then I went into a coma. I woke up and it was done. So I didn't even have a time to panic or do anything else. So I made a point after to learn it all. So then I became an ambassador for One Legacy and go out, and that's my way of giving back. But for someone new that's getting into it, I really suggest a support group if you can find one. Sometimes the hospitals have one, other organizations have them. They're very important because you're going to get the right information. You're not going to get wrong information, and they can help you through the process. And it's like having somebody take your hand and walk you through it, which makes a big difference. Because I don't care what kind of transplant you're going to get, it's scary. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
yeah. There's nothing that you can say that it's scary.
Right.
And so this is a way, once you know what's going to happen, what the process is, and what to expect, I think it's much easier. So.
Okay, last question. Is there anything that you want to say that my listeners can hear or know, or anything else that you want to add?
Well, I'd also would recommend going to the games. The games are fantastic. I mean, once you go to the first one, you're hooked. I mean, you really are, because it was a lot more emotional than I thought it was going to be. It really is for me.
Thank you.
Even though I'm an old man, but but the ability to meet people all over the United States to be able to play games and enjoy yourself and celebrate life. And then also to be able to educate the local city that you're in, help to promote, that's very important.
Absolutely.
My name is Ron Moten.
And where are you from, Ron?
From San Diego, California.
Oh, so you're local. Very cool. Okay, so what is your relation to organ donation?
My relation to organ donation is that I'm a recent transplant recipient. I have had a kidney and heart transplant back in January of 2021.
Oh, so you're new. You're fairly new. Yeah.
Fairly new.
And so, what are you doing here at the Transplant Games?
Just to see how fellow people around here that have had transplants like me and what they're doing and more information about it, long term. I'm feeling great. So better than ever, actually. So
that's awesome. That's great. So let me ask you, if you had any advice to somebody who's pre-transplant that's getting ready for their transplant, what would you tell them?
Just hang in there, keep your head up, think positive, it'll come to you. I've been there where I've been in the hospital for 5 months, so I understand, waiting. The waiting part is probably the hardest. You go through that, and once you come out on the other end, you'll be so glad. It's great. I'm up and about, feeling better than ever, more energetic than ever. I know how they feel pre. I know what you're going to go through, the ups and downs. So yeah, just hang in there, be positive, don't get down on yourself. Think of purpose. You will come out of this a better man or woman. So.
Very good. So the last question I have is there anything that you want my listeners to know, or is there anything that you want to say to my listeners?
Just keep in there, hang tough. You guys are great. I love everybody. My donors, whoever they are, I never did find out who they are, but hey, thank God for them for doing that. I'll always be indebted to them for that, but just hang in there. You'll see better days, and you'll be so happy to see your loved ones. So.
My name is Kinley Walker, and I had a liver transplant. And something I want to say is, don't let your transplant stop you from doing your daily stuff, and don't let it stop you from living your life.
Tell me your name.
Joe Wong.
Nice to meet you today. So tell me, where are you from?
Right here in San Diego, California.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so what is your relation to organ donation?
I'm a heart recipient.
Oh, congratulations. When did you get your transplant?
Where?
When?
Oh, when? I got it in March 2020.
Oh, not that long ago. You're doing great. Awesome. So tell me, what is a piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's getting ready to get a heart transplant?
Try not to stress about it too much, because the medical science is amazing. It's amazing what they can do now.
Yeah.
And it really surprised me how much they did and what they can do. And the different medical procedures and medications out there. So that makes a big difference.
So tell me, what are you doing here at the games?
I'm volunteering at Mended Hearts.
Right across the way here. Very nice. So is there anything else that you want to say to the podcast listeners out there?
Yeah, if you had a heart surgery of any kind, join your nearby Mended Hearts group. We're a support group for patients who had any kind of a heart procedure.
All right, welcome to the podcast. What's your name?
My name is Peter Kupsak.
Okay, nice to meet you. And what is your relation to organ donation?
I'm a donor dad.
Okay.
This is my daughter, Jessica Marie. She gave the gift of life on November 23rd, 2002.
Okay.
She gave her heart, both kidneys, her liver, and her pancreas, the 2 men and 2 women in New York City.
Have you met them?
I have not. I have just recently connected in 2018 with the heart recipient. His name is Alexios, and we've just communicated via letters. But he's doing well. He's a grandfather. He got to walk his daughters down the aisle and see his kids graduate. And so, but it's okay, you know, I'm just glad he's doing well.
Yes. So where are you from?
I live in Connecticut, but Jessica was living in New York City, in Queens, when she suffered a severe asthma attack.
Oh, okay.
And she was on life support for 7 days.
Oh, wow.
And with suffering a severe asthma attack, lack of oxygen to the brain, it's a very severe brain injury, swells, and her brain stem herniated on the 7th day. And she was a registered donor. She lived in New York City, and it's the only good thing that comes out of our tragedies. And we all know we've lost somebody, a friend's child, a son or a daughter, a spouse. And organ donation and tissue donation is the only good thing that comes out of these tragedies. And all the recipients that you see here today that are athletes, that have now lived a great life, able to see their children grow up, able to walk across the room, you know, without being out of breath, to watch them participate in basketball and volleyball and swimming. So I'm very proud of Jessica. The tragedy could not be prevented, you know, and but I'm very proud of her, and I try to honor her each and every day. That's my mission in life, and I speak, I talk. I'm part of the Donor Family Council Network you see over there to provide support ongoing to donor families after the OPOs.
Okay. So that's what I was going to ask you, is what you were doing here at the Transplant Games.
So I've been coming to the Transplant Games since 2004. Jessica passed in 2002. I had spent a lot of time not in the most healthy environment with spending time in the bottle. I was single. Jessica was my only daughter. But my caregiver from New York Organ Donor Network gently persuaded me and guided me and supported me to go to my first Transplant Games in Minneapolis in 2004. And that was the start of my healing and going on and committing myself to promote organ and tissue donation at each and every possible opportunity. I've spoken to police departments, union meetings, fire departments, high schools, you know, to anywhere I can. I've had a booth at my office where I used to work and for a whole week handing out information about organ and tissue donation. I was single at the time, and I actually met my wife at the 2004 games.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we've been together ever since. We got married in 2007. We lived 140 miles apart, and we commuted for 7 years. And
wow. That's a great story. That's a great story. So let me just ask you one more thing. Is there any advice that you could give to somebody who might be going through a loss and are considering whether or not organ donation?
yes, I would say become a registered donor, okay? That's the first step. That's the most important thing. Tragedies can occur at any time, anywhere, any place. And I tell people it's more important to discuss with your family, your husband, your wife, and your children, whoever's going to make any decisions for you in case a tragedy occurs. It's a very difficult time for anybody to be going through. Jessica would have been a donor whether she was a registered donor or not, because we had had that discussion, and she had known that I was a donor, that I was a registered donor. So I would, no matter how old you are, no matter, I talk to people and they say, look at my glasses, look how thick they are, and I say, and who would want my eyes? And I said, somebody that can only see darkness would give anything to wear thick glasses to see sunlight. People think about, I didn't have a great lifestyle, alcohol, drugs, or whatever. Let the professionals, because they're not going to take anything they're not going to take anything bad and put it into somebody. And so it's the greatest, and I got to tell you, this is my favorite quote, being an organ donor is the greatest gift any one person can give to another person. And
absolutely.
That's my story.
Hi, my name is Dana.
Hi, Dana. Nice to meet you. And what is your relation to organ donation or transplant?
I'm a kidney recipient.
Okay, when did you have your transplant?
4 years ago.
Oh, 4 years ago. I had my lungs almost 4 years ago. So, where are you from?
I'm from Rochester, New York.
Okay, well, you've come a long way across the country. And why are you here at the games?
I heard about this through AAKP, and I really wanted to check it out and see.
Are you competing?
No, I'm not this time, but next time for sure.
All right, so let me ask you, if you have a piece of advice to give somebody who's pre-transplant and getting ready to get their kidney, what would you tell them?
Just think a day at a time, and it's temporary.
Okay, tell me your name.
Jaden Johnson.
And how old are you?
14.
Okay, and what is your relation to organ donation or transplant?
I received a liver.
Okay, and when did you get your liver?
I was 18 months old.
Oh, okay. All right, awesome. Okay, so where are you from?
Longview, Texas.
Okay, I'm from Texas too. Let's see, what are you doing here at the games?
I'm doing volleyball, tennis, and trivia.
Oh, okay, very good. So let me ask you, if you had some advice to give to somebody else who's getting ready to get a transplant, what would you tell them?
I would tell them there's not much to worry about because the nurses are amazing and there's someone always there for you. And as long as you find the right support group, you'll be okay.
Very good advice. Very good advice. Now, is there anything else that you want to say or share with my listeners?
That even though it's hard sometimes, there's always going to be people to be there for you.
What's your name?
Rick Daines.
Rick Daines. Nice to meet you. Where are you from?
San Diego, California.
Okay. So you're local? You didn't have to travel very far?
No, I just live about 25 minutes up the road, and I'll sleep in my own bed tonight, and so.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So what is your relation to organ donation?
So I gave a kidney to someone I didn't know 4 years ago. We just had a 4-year anniversary.
That's amazing. Awesome. So what are you doing here at the games?
So my daughter wrote a children's book about organ donation. So when I gave 4 years ago, she was 8, and she was like, I want to help other kids understand organ donation. So Transplant Nation magazine did a story on it, and they invited her to just come and push some books. So we're there showing people, selling some books and promoting organ donation.
That's awesome. What's the name of the book?
Are You Kidding Me?
Love it. I love that. Okay, so let me ask you, if you had a piece of advice to give to somebody who's getting ready to donate their organ to a stranger practically, what would you say?
I'd say it's you couldn't do anything better for anybody than to give them the gift of time, give them the gift of life, and really, I think everybody should at least look into it. You don't need to have a relationship. It doesn't need to be a family member. There's 120-something thousand people waiting for a kidney alone. So why not save a life? So that's what I'd say.
I agree 100%. So last question is there anything else that you want to say that you want my listeners to know?
This is a great thing, and get involved. And I would just look into it, see if organ donation is something that would be good for you. I did it. I certainly don't regret it. It was one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life, and I would do it again if I had another kidney.
I'm sure that your kidney recipient is thanking you every day for what you did for them. So, and I thank you too for what you did.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Go.
Hi, I'm Jamaica Crooks from Greenville, South Carolina, and I want everybody to be on the list to be a donor for people because it could save a ton of lives.
Oh, we have a neighbor.
And I'm a kidney recipient.
Awesome. All right, welcome to the podcast. What's your name?
Kevin Green.
Nice to meet you, Kevin. And where are you from?
From Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, okay. You come a long way, haven't you?
Oh, this is just amazing, this event. This is my third American game, so.
Yeah. Okay. So what is your relation to organ donation?
I had a kidney transplant almost 15 years ago.
Almost 15 years ago. That's amazing. All right, cool. So what are you doing here at the games?
I'm a donor family man. Like, catch up with donor families. They're the most special people anywhere. So I make my time to catch up with them and chat to them about their loved ones. I want to hear their story as well. So.
Yeah. So I think isn't the World Transplant Games going to be in Australia next year?
Yeah, they're in Perth next year. Yep.
Oh, okay. So do you go to the World Trans Games also? World Transplant Games?
I've been to two, Sweden 2011 and the British ones in 2019, but I won't go to Perth. This is my trip. I love coming here. So.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So let me ask you, if you had any advice to give to somebody who's getting ready to get a kidney transplant, what would that be?
Talk to others that have been the journey. You might talk to an expert that thinks he knows everything. It's not the one person, even your own doctor. Get online, join a kidney group. It's very important. That's what I did. I was on dialysis for 9 years, so I had plenty of time to see what it was like, the afterwards, what to eat, what not to eat, the skin care, the dental care and everything like that. So spread your horizons, and the more advice you get, the better.
Awesome advice. One more question for you. Is there anything else that you want to say to my listeners that you think they should know?
Just have the discussion, about organ donation. Don't leave it till you're on, when your family's there and you're on, life support and they don't know your wishes. Discussion is the most important thing. To your workmates, to your colleagues, even when you're at a baseball game or something and you get to talk to the guy next door, just ask him if he's an organ donor. It takes 5 minutes to have a discussion with someone, but it could change someone's life.
All right. Hello. What's your name?
My name is Jackie.
Nice to meet you, Jackie. And how are you related to the organ donation community?
My sister recently passed away and she was an organ donor.
So you're a donor family. That's amazing. Thank you. So where are you from?
I'm from Orange County, California.
And what are you doing here at the Transplant Games?
I'm just kind of here to represent my sister's memory.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so let me ask you, if you had any advice to give to somebody who's going through the decision of donating their loved one's organs, what would you say?
Just do it. You'll be saving a life, and my sister being an organ donor is like the silver lining that came from a really bad tragedy, and it's really the only thing I've been holding on to ever since she passed a few months ago, and it really helps with the grief.
Yes. Is there anything else that you want to say to my listeners about anything at all?
You can be as sad as you want for as long as you want. You don't have to feel like a hero immediately. Take your time to grieve. That's it. Yeah.
All right, what's your name?
Dylan Mortimer.
Nice to meet you, Dylan. And where are you from?
I'm from Los Angeles.
Okay, so what is your relation to organ donation?
I am a 2-time recipient of double lung transplant. So,
Awesome. And what are you doing here at the games?
I just moved actually, and I've just driven down here to kind of check things out. I'm found out about this too late to actually register, but hopefully next 2 years, right?
Yeah. So tell me a piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's getting ready to go through their transplant journey.
Wow, yeah. Give yourself tons and tons of grace, and fight the best you can a day at a time. There's absolutely nothing else you can do.
Right. And my last question is there anything else that you want to say to my listeners about anything?
Yeah, I just want to encourage people. There's hope there's hope available in every circumstance, I feel, especially the ones that you feel like there's no hope at all. And we have such a supportive community. We come together, we lift each other up. We get good news, we get bad news. We keep fighting. There's nothing more you can do than that. And I just really encourage everybody, whether they're struggling or doing great, you're doing a fantastic job in your fight.
All right, my name is Roy Menken. I'm a double lung transplant recipient back in 2017. I'm 5 years post. Just keep up the faith, and if you have any questions, make sure to reach out to your local transplant support group.
Okay, what's your name?
Cherie Osk,
Nice to meet you. Where are you from?
Fargo, North Dakota.
So what is your relationship to the organ donation?
I'm a heart double lung recipient. In August, it'll be my 18th year out.
18 years. I love 18, and I love the stories with people. So many years have them. So, okay, so tell me, what are you doing here at the games?
Well, this is my 4th games, and I did the 5K walk, bowling, and pickleball and volleyball.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so tell me if you had any advice to give to somebody who's getting ready for their transplant. What would you say to them?
I guess just reach out to other recipients, however social media you choose, but also just keep following the advice of your doctors and just keep hope. And it can take forever sometimes when you're waiting, and just keep taking care of yourself.
Awesome. So is there anything else that you want to say to my listeners about anything?
No, just that in my home state, I'm hoping to promote it more, to come to the Transplant Games and experience this wonderful event. And you can connect with so many other people, and you can connect with donor families, and just share with others how great transplantation is and organ donation is.
All right, tell me your name.
My name is Mark Coronel.
Nice to meet you, Mark.
Pleasure.
What is your relation to organ donation?
Organ donation or
Like,
receiving one?
How are you related to transplant?
I got a kidney transplant December 10, 2019.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks so much.
So where are you from?
Los Angeles, California.
Okay. And what are you doing here at the games?
To compete, but to also give a shout out to my donor. I mean, when I went through transplant, they asked me, what are you going to do after a transplant? This was 3 years ago. I said, I'm going to compete in the Transplant Games of America. And that's exactly what I did. And then I said, well, what do you want to do there? To raise awareness, number one, but to also perform for what I couldn't do while I was going through kidney failure and dialysis.
Okay. All right. And what are you competing in?
Pickleball, volleyball, basketball. I did the 5K. And then I'm doing golf. I'm playing golf. And I think that's organs, we need 7, right? So I'm down to 5, so I got 2 more. I was gonna do cycling, but I got too tired and I wanna play basketball tomorrow, so I canceled that today. And the 7th one is eating.
Oh, well, I'm good at that. I'm good at that.
No. It's just I want to just eat. I get to eat now things that I couldn't before, right? So you're limited to no salt, no certain foods, and I can actually do that and do it for craft now. You know?
Yeah.
I can look at an In-N-Out burger and say I can actually have that now.
Yes. Okay, awesome. So tell me, what piece of advice would you give to somebody who's getting ready to get a kidney transplant?
Get over the feeling sorry for yourself very quickly. Don't be afraid to ask and ask questions. There is no stupid question. If your team isn't what you expected, you can change it. Don't take no for an option because you want to get off of it as quick as you got onto it. And the only way you can do that is if you advocate for yourself. What does that mean? They say a healthy person has 1,000 wishes, a sick person has one. You're sick. Get out of there because I know that's what you wish for. And the only way you're going to do that is if you open up your heart, your being, and not worried about what other people's opinions are, because there are people in the world that want to help, they just don't know how. The only way you do that is understand being a donor, understand what it's like to be a recipient so that you're prepared when people ask questions of what does it take to be a donor.
That's very good advice. Now, last question. Is there anything else that you would like to say that you would like my listeners to hear?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Is there anything that you would like to say that my listeners would want to hear?
And who are your listeners? Donors, recipients?
Everyone, everybody.
I would say, don't. You know, there's a thing that I go by. It says, suppression is depression, expression is is success. And the more you hold in without having a conversation with anybody else, the more it's going to eat you alive. On top of why you're already fighting your battle. So my goal is, or my word of advice is, speak to people. Mental health is a real big issue, especially with people who are dealing with rare diseases and immunocompromised. Share your story, because that is a therapeutic thing for me, to share things like this to you guys, to not only inspire myself, but to also inspire you to inspire me. I'm here to inspire by being inspired, but the only way I'm inspired is if I hear other people's story. Don't be shy to tell your story. It's not that they feel bad for you, it's they're gonna be inspired by you. And we always think it's the other way around. It takes a lot of guts to come through and go through something like this. They don't know what it's like to wake up every morning having to go to dialysis, lung. Always strive to be the best you and never give up. You only fail when you fail to try.
Thank you for listening to the Pre to Post Transplant podcast. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Facebook. Oh, and if you have not signed up to be an organ donor, please visit www.organdonor.gov and register today. You too can save lives.